I'm looking at something here close. I know it's something that was in there. Just a second. Okay. It's 5 p.m. and we are opening up with our closed session, which we will be going into. We have a quorum present, and member Mike Caputo is absent. On closed session items, is there any comment agenda?
We have no comments tonight.
No comments. Okay, the board will recess now into closed session. Welcome to the Valley Center-Pauma Unified School District Board meeting. We have a quorum. Member Mike Caputo is absent. And we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Sophia Clymer. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we are going to report from our closed session meeting, and I have a little bit to report on. We are going to start with our item E in closed session, and that was a motion was made by trustee Paul Benneman, seconded by Mary Polito, and the board voted to deny the request for extended leave of absence for employee 534199. The vote was passed by all, unanimous. Member Caputo being absent. G, in closed session, it was a motion by member Benneman and seconded by Kolb Sr. The board voted to accept the petition for late claim as to claims dated on or after March 31st, 2022, and rejected the tort claim of U. Hughes dated March 31st, 2023. The vote was unanimous, member Caputo being absent. In number H, in closed session, the Board of Trustees took the following action. On the motion, member Benneman voted, and member Benneman made the motion. Member Kolb Sr. made the second, and the board voted to accept the petition for late claim for C. Densdale dated May 1st, 2023, only as to claim dated on or after May 3rd, 2022. To the extent the position for the late claim seeks to assist the claims which occurred on or before May 2nd, 2022. The petition for late claim is denied. The vote was unanimous, member Caputo being absent. Number 2, motion made by member Benneman, seconded by member trustee Polito. The board voted to accept the petition for late claim of L. Dinsdale dated May 1, 2023, only as to claims dated on or after May 3rd, 2022. To the extent the petition for late claim seeks to assert claims which occurred on or before May 2nd, 2022. The petition for late claim is denied. The vote was unanimous, member Caputo being absent. On the motion for trustee Benneman made the motion, seconded by member Kolb Sr. The board voted to accept the petition for late claim of J. Torkel dated May 1, 2023, only as to claims dated on or after May 3rd, 2022, to the extent that the petition for late claim seeks to assert claims which occurred on or before May 2nd, 2022, and the petition for late claim is denied. The vote was unanimous. Member Caputo was absent. The following acceptance of the petition for late claim or claims which occurred on or after May 3rd, 2022, on a motion made by member Benneman, seconded by member Polito. The board voted to reject the claims of C. Dinsdale, which occurred on or after May 3rd, 2022. The vote was unanimous, Member Caputo being absent. Following acceptance of the petition for late claim for claims which occurred on or after May 3rd, 2022, on the motion made by Member Benjamin, seconded by Trustee Kolb Sr., the board voted to reject the claims for Eldensdale, of Eldensdale, which occurred on or after May 3rd, 2022. The vote was unanimous, Member Caputo being absent. The following acceptance of the petition for late claim or claims which occurred on or after May 3rd, 2022, on the motion of Trustee Benjamin, seconded by Trustee Polito, the board voted to reject the claims of J. Torkel which occurred on or after May 3rd, 2022. The vote was unanimous, Member Caputo being absent. Okay. That is our closed session wrap-up. And moving on to D, do I have an approval, any additions or deletions or corrections for the agenda? Do I have a motion?
Also move.
Member Benjamin, and a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Member Polito, and is there any discussion? Being none, the vote, Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Sr.? Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. And this is the great part. Recognition and presentations for our certificated employee from Pauma Valley. And we are honored to have Elizabeth Libby Nolan. And it's being presented by our principal, Dominic Camacho. Thank you so much. This is the best part of the whole night. You on?
The light's on.
All right, let's do. All right. Good evening, Mayo Yumpi Namu Moikiam. Buenas noches, Board President Stroh, Board of Education Superintendent McCowan, Cabinet, parents, teachers, and community members. It is my utmost pleasure to introduce Pauma Schools Certificated Employee of the Month, Miss Libby Nolan. Libby has been working at Pauma for the past 10 years and is the only school site where she has been permanently employed. First as an instructional aide and duty supervisor, and now as our TK kinder teacher. Libby is passionate about her family time and loves to do everything, including art, as a family. All right. She has a big, close-knit family, and she loves being an amazing aunt to 8. A bonus for her is that her mom is our fave art teacher at Pauma, which means more special moments for her and her hero. All right. When I asked Libby what Libby loves most about her job, she answered, making class fun and engaging for my students. I love seeing the excitement on their faces and being able to just be myself. Libby's classroom is one that I love to pop into when I want to see kids who are excited and love to learn new things. She engages them with songs, chants, and silliness that is always a key ingredient when working with the youngest on campus. It is evident that she loves her job, and her kids love that she is their teacher. She is a team player and is always willing to share ideas with her grade level team. She is our grade level lead who represents Pauma well at all district curriculum and instruction meetings. Here are a few things that staff had to say about Ms. Nolan. Libby is always helpful and shares her knowledge with other staff. She has excellent classroom management, and she makes the school beautiful with her class's artwork. Another said, Libby is an awesome and knowledgeable teacher. She brings joy to our school community through art. She spends a lot of her free time getting materials ready for art, and she shares with her awesome mom to teach our Bobcats in training, our students, about art. And then another teacher said, thank you for all you do. You are loved by all your kiddos. Now, most importantly, here are a few things that her babies had to say about Miss Nolan. Testing me and giving me stickers. She makes me write a lot. Marlene. Being so nice to us. Araya V. I'm trying to get the sound of the kids. She helps me go on happy numbers to read and write, Jocelyn P. When I don't have a flower book, she lets me use hers, Araya A. I love about Miss Nolan is she always helps us when we are reading, and we just love it, Emerson. She has beautiful hair, beautiful smile. What do you think? Michael S. All right. Please join me in congratulating Libby Nolan as Pauma School's Certificate Employee of the Month.
Hi. I've seen mostly everybody here in committees every month this year, so I don't know. I'm nervous to talk right now. Thank you. 8 years ago, I stood up here kind of making the same speech as a classified employee. So Pauma's my home base. It will always be my home base so far, as long as I know. And people in committees know that I'm passionate about Pauma. You guys, like you've heard me this year. I don't know. I want to thank Ms. Osugi, who brought me on first, and Mr. Camacho. Every time I come up to them with a crazy idea or like, hey, let's try this, they'd go do it. If it works, great. If not, you'll learn from it. So thank you. Mom, who's always there. Her and Osugi were the first people to know I was becoming a teacher. I didn't tell anybody else I was in the program. Mrs. Shimmer, who's always been there. She's the best teacher mentor, teacher buddy. Anytime I need anything, she's the person to go to. Thank you, everybody at Pauma, and every Bobcat that will come through and has come through. Thank you, everybody.
She couldn't wait to have that speech time. I'm in trouble.
And now we will have a presentation on literacy everywhere by
I'm
Principal
going to try this
Camacho.
again.
And quite good acting there, I would say.
I tried. So let me try this again. Good evening. Mi yo yumpi na mokia yum. Buenas noches, Board President Stroh, board members, superintendent, cabinet, school staff, and families. Tonight I'm here as the proud principal of the Pauma Bobcats, and will share with you how we integrate literacy in all we do. Next slide. Reading, writing, listening, and speaking are weaved into every aspect of our day, from our conversations on the playground to learning new games and activities in physical education, as well as opportunities in music. Next slide. You will also find the different strategies used from our benchmark and study sync curriculum in science and social studies. Next slide. Literacy in science. I would like to share some examples from Mrs. Akkad's class from a science lesson and how the students read about the life cycle of the butterfly. Next slide. Learning new vocabulary via GLAD strategies. Next slide. Having partner talk. Next slide. To story mapping, and then on to journaling and into the writing. Next slide. Next slide. And next slide. And one more. And then the last piece. Thank you. These parts of the process will demonstrate their understanding of the different stages of the life cycle in their writing piece. However, we know literacy is the ability to read, write, speak, and listen in a way that lets us communicate effectively and make sense of the world. Here are two kinder and first grade students demonstrating their knowledge verbally.
I'm going to tell you all about the life cycle of a butterfly. First, the monarch butterfly lays its egg on the leaf. Then, the caterpillar hatches. It eats its shell and all the leaves around it, and then it sheds its exoskeleton a couple times, and then it starts to make a J making a J, and then it makes the chrysalis and it then hatches as a butterfly.
I'm telling you about a life cycle of the butterfly. First, the adult butterfly lays eggs on a leaf. Second, the caterpillar comes out of the egg and eats its shell and eats lots of leaves and sheds its exoskeleton several times. Third, the caterpillar hangs upside down and makes a chrysalis. Finally, the butterfly emerges out from the chrysalis.
Thank you. Next slide. Our English language learners get additional support during their designated EL time each day. Next slide. Benchmark has many resources to help teachers as they address our EL students' needs. Next slide. Some samples, and then the next slide. Each lesson in Benchmark has differentiated help for integrated English language development. Benchmark assessments help drive our lessons and in addition help identify students who may need additional support. Next slide. Along with the data from these benchmark reports, teachers share other data sources with our support team so they can follow up with support for each teacher. The support team consists of the counselor, psychologist, TOSAs, and the principal. We look for students who will be added to our 6-week academic intervention groups, as well as students who may need separate social-emotional support. This is how we are giving specific, targeted intervention for 6 weeks in hopes the students will be more successful in the classroom. This targeted support comes from our Title VI aide, Lena Banks. Here you have Mrs. Banks working with a group of her Title VI students who need extra support with reading comprehension with an expository text. She takes them through the process of finding key details to support their understanding. This small group intervention is in addition to what the classroom teacher does in their own rotations. Next slide. Our education specialist, Debbie Schimmer, works on specific goals with her students at their specific level. In this group, she's working with an 8th grader on reading comprehension strategies, a 1st grader with sight words, and a 3rd grader on mathematical concepts. Next slide. Our instructional aide, Tammy Lenos, is seen here working with students on high-frequency words and writing. Next slide. Instructional aide, Jennifer Mendoza, is doing a read aloud and checking for understanding as she asks students to make predictions with supporting details. Our TOSA, Valerie Wallenberg, is seen here working with a small group of 5th grade students on summary writing. She is chunking it for her small group and breaking down how to summarize a small paragraph they had just read. In this intervention lesson, she had the students read together, read to self, partner talk on some of the ways in which to write a summary. Then they wrote the summary. The goal is for them to also go back to their classrooms and utilize these strategies when in class. Next slide. TOSA Marianne Ferrer is shown here on the left, working with a small group on writing and creating a topic sentence with 3 supporting details on that topic. She is using sentences, and then they need to sort through and try and identify the topic sentence, and then which sentences will be the supporting sentences for that topic. In the picture on the right, she's working with a student on suffixes. Our counselor is also involved. Ms. Macedo is shown here having kids discuss her lesson on what makes my life special. After discussing what they learned, they began to write about it. Next slide. Literacy in physical education. As students learn to play a new game or activity in physical education, they are learning and using new vocabulary, and, and their listening and speaking skills are being utilized. Our amazing PE teacher, Mr. Lopez, does an amazing job of having the students restate the rules or object of the movements he is teaching. There's some vocabulary there. Literacy in music. In music class, they are also learning new vocabulary and gaining understanding when putting notes together to make a piece of music come alive. Mr. Wiley not only teaches them how to read musical notes, but the new vocabulary allows them to know how to make the music come alive. An example, the words forte, piano, mezzo, crescendo, and staccato. Forte meaning powerful, play with power. Piano mean quiet that music. And mezzo, in the middle or medium or moderate. Crescendo, the adverb for crescendo, music with a gradual increase in loudness. So you're starting low and making it louder. Adjective, music is gradually increasing in loudness. And the verb for that, the action, increase in loudness or intensity. Lastly, and most importantly, is getting our families actively engaged in their students' education. Parents and families are essential partners in promoting literacy and language development for their children. Parents desire the best for their children, should be consistently nurtured and regularly celebrated by the schools and districts. Next slide. We have planned family learning nights, where we model how to support their child and then let them practice while we're there to support them along the way. Next couple of slides. And yes, we wear pajamas for these. Okay, right there. Each of the presentations you have heard this year from my colleagues speak to the experience of our students and the incredible work by our staff and teachers. Literacy is thought of in many ways: reading and writing and language arts, but also as mathematics, science, social studies, music, physical education, all merged with the ability to read, write, listen, speak, think critically, and perform. Giving each of our students at Pauma and throughout the district the skills and experiences that are needed for success. As you can see at Pauma School and throughout VCPUSD, literacy is everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Camacho, and congratulations again to you, Libby. Great and wonderful celebration and great family representation and staff. And at this time, those of you who came for presentation, you are welcome to leave. If you would like to stay on to the business section of our board meeting, you're welcome to do that as well. We'll take a few seconds for that. Thank you. Right at the end of Oh, right. Wait. Oh, yeah. I'm going to go. Yeah, and then this at the end. And do you want it? You'll announce it. I can. Or if you want me to. Okay, we will move forward with our request to address the board. Have you received any
We have not received any addresses for
addresses
tonight.
for the board? Okay, we will move forward into our consent items. And do we have a motion to approve that?
So it was my job this month to look through all the purchase orders, and there wasn't any, all my questions were answered. And so I approve the consent agenda and the updated personnel listing.
Okay, great, thank you. And we have a motion and a second.
Second.
Okay, Member Polito seconds. Any discussion on the consent items? Being none, we'll go for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
And Member Stroh votes aye. And moving forward, we would like to congratulate and bring forward the coming back home to our community as Assistant Vice Principal is Nicole Clymer, and we want to say congratulations. And we're going to move forward with the vote, right? What?
I'm on the superintendent's.
You're on the superintendent's report. There we go. Huh. Superintendent's report. Turn me off, please.
The echo. Once again, congratulations and welcome back, Nicole.
Yes.
We did have one other administrative announcement. Sarah Songer is going to be the principal down at Pauma, but she was not able to make it here tonight, so we'll probably bring her back in June. So on to the superintendent's division. My first piece there is I have been asked and have requested that Fire Chief Joe Napier come and give us a presentation on our fire district and really around how we get tax money for our fire department. So Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Superintendent and President Stroh, board, members of the audience, and staff. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chief Joe, and I am the fire chief for the Department of the Quality of Life for Valley Center, which means you call, we come for any reason, at any time, 24/7, 365. And I've been doing this now. I'm working on my 9th year, if you can believe it. And so I raised my family in Valley Center. My kids went to Valley Center schools and have gone on, and you'll be glad to know that they're off the payroll. And they've gone on to wonderful careers. They've blessed me with 5 grandchildren. And as great partners do, they take care of each other. And so our district, the Fire Protection District, the school district, the water district, the cemetery, all of the districts in Valley Center create a partnership and a family to make sure that everyone who lives, works, and visits and plays in Valley Center has a wonderful experience. And if their children are blessed enough to go to Valley Center-Pauma schools, that they are given the best opportunity to learn in the highest caliber of instruction that can take place. And I know that from my own experience with my family. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for that. Tonight, I want everybody to look at this PowerPoint presentation and just understand there's a lot of numbers that go with it, and I'll try to do as little math as possible, but I am going to throw some math and statistics at you. So currently, the Valley Center Fire Protection District is in partnership with our labor and with community groups, Protect Valley Center and Promote Valley Center, on an initiative to change our tax apportionment, property tax apportionment from 2% of the 1% of your assessed valuation to 6% of the 1% of your assessed valuation. And this does not cost the taxpayers any additional money. It doesn't cost the businesses any additional money. Basically what it does is it reallocates general fund money that the Valley Center Fire Protection District sends to Dan McAllister. Dan McAllister collects all of that and then redistributes money back out to the special districts. And I'm going to show you some graphs here, and I'm actually really, really proud of that. So existing property taxes are taken from our contribution to the general fund is what we're asking. Currently, the Valley Center Fire Protection District's formula is 2% of the 1%, which means on an assessed evaluation of $30 billion, the community gives Dan McAllister $30 million. And of that $30 million, the Fire Protection District gets around $600,000 for fire protection. Now, we went twice to the voters, and the voters spoke loud and clear. At least 58% of them spoke. We love you, Chief Joe. We love the fire department, and yes, we'll stand behind new taxes and we'll tax ourselves. But a great majority of our citizens came back and said, you know, Chief Joe, we're paying enough taxes to the county right now. We think you should go to the county and have a reallocation of what we're already paying the county back for public safety, so that the county has discretionary money. Are we going to fix potholes in Descanso, or are we going to provide public safety aspects of fire protection in Valley Center? So those are the discretionary decisions. Are we going to give cell phones to people incarcerated, or are we going to provide public safety to the citizens of Valley Center? Those sorts of discretionary decisions that we're asking the Board of Supervisors to make. By adding the 4% to the 2%, it's an additional $1,165,013. So almost $1.2 million would come back to Valley Center Fire Protection District to protect the residents. The total allocation back on an annual basis, which would grow as the assessed valuation of your property grows, would come back at about $1.2 million. You can see that I'm rounding a little bit. No additional property taxes will be charged to Valley Center residents, businesses, or anybody. This will all be taken from the general fund allocations. Zero impact to special districts, which means all of the special districts that were formed, especially the ones before Proposition 13, are protected under Proposition 13, which means your tax allocations are locked from anybody coming in and taking money away from your special district. The Board of Supervisors can't do it. The state can't do it. That property tax allocation is locked under Proposition 13 and SB 154. So this benefits our community. It benefits our low-paid firefighters. It slows the revolving door down on a retention problem that we have and a recruitment problem that we have, keeping firefighters who we grow at Valley Center High School in our Explorer post and then hire them as soon as they get out of the fire academy to become Valley Center firefighters, and we've done that 3 times now. It's an amazing succession process, and our department then reflects the face of the community. This is what the graph looks like. So look at this as right now, $30 million is going to Dan McAllister. Then Dan McAllister turns that money back around to the special districts, and you can see the percentages there if you squint. So right around 45% is the school district's allotment, the water district's at about 4%, and then you can see that small sliver up there for the Valley Center Fire Protection District at 2%. The total general fund allocation, which is in the red, is in the neighborhood of about $14 to $15 million collectively for everybody. And then for the county general fund for our special district, reallocation from the $30 million in this particular slide is about almost $5 million, $4.5 million. So if the current formulary stays the same, the county continues to get $4.5 million, everybody else continues to get their allotment, Valley Center continues to get its $600,000, and we continue rolling down the road providing fire protection. The new allocation would look like this. So again, Dan McAllister gets $30 million of the $30 billion assessed valuation of Valley Center. The county then gets $3.35 million instead of $4.45 million, which is a reduction to the county general fund of 3.8%, with no other decreases, if you'll look at that slide, to any of the other special districts. It all comes from money that our citizens are paying into the general fund. So here's some math for you. The county's current budget is about $7.9 billion. What we're asking for is 1/15,000th of 1% of the entire county budget to come back to Valley Center to protect Valley Center. This is the face of your community. This is the face of the people that are protecting you. And if you look up in the top left corner, these are students that have attended or are attending Valley Center to become future firefighters in Valley Center. And with that, I'll entertain questions, comments, or any concerns from the board of directors at this point. I understand that you can't take action tonight, but I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. That was a really good presentation. So your purpose in presenting tonight is just to make people aware of what you are trying to do and proposing down there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what I'm hoping is that the board collectively in the future will take it under consideration to support us in a way that either through resolution or a support letter, maybe direct Superintendent McGowan to write a letter of support for our special district. So your special district supports our special district to the County Board of Supervisors, with the understanding that we're not trying to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. We're not trying to take money from any of the other special districts, including the newly created San Diego County Fire Protection District under the direction of CAL FIRE. We're not trying to take any money from them. We're just trying to take a little bit of money, leave a little money behind that our own taxpayers are paying to help support us, and the county can take the rest and do whatever they want with it. Any other questions, comments, anything?
I would like to suggest that we bring back a resolution next board meeting for a vote.
That would be
For that,
fantastic.
yeah,
We would really,
much
really
needed.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
On behalf of
Yeah.
the Valley Center Fire Protection District Board of Directors, I know they would appreciate that as well. So thank you very, very much, President Stroh.
Any
So Joe,
discussion?
I'll reach out to you. Wow, that's loud. I'll reach out to you and we can put together a resolution and we'll bring it back next month.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
really,
you, Joe.
really
Great
appreciate it.
presentation.
Thank you.
Everyone take care and be safe.
Thanks for your.
Mow those weeds.
Okay, so we'll continue on with the superintendent's division here. This is part of our Teacher Appreciation Day, which was Wednesday. It was Teacher Appreciation Day all week, so if you somehow missed your opportunity to appreciate your teacher, you have a day left. This is a luncheon at the high school. You can see Coach Gilster there was first in line. That was put on by the foundation. Each one of the school sites had kind of something a little bit different done by their TPA and different organizations. Next slide. This is our Lunch Hero Day, which I think was last week. You can see at the top there, that's our high school lunch CNS workers dressed up as Rosie the Riveters. And then you can see down here where some of the students or our teachers, our CNS workers are around a sign that the students had made for them. So showing our heroes. Next slide. This is our ribbon cutting. The board was present. It was last Tuesday. Great day for Valley Center. We did get our panels open and we got the 2 electric buses. Next slide. They let me drive the bus there at the top, but you can see what happened, and so now we're leaving the driving best to the professionals. So the sheriffs did not cite me, by the way. This here is our English learner reclassification ceremony that was just outstanding. It's really nice to watch our students walk across the stage and how proud they are. And a special shout out to Nadia Clayton, who's been running this program for years and working with our EL students who will be retiring at this end of this school year. So thanks for that, and Mesa, great evening. Next slide. This is one of our field trips out to the safari park with our migrant education. It's nice to see our schools back on the field trips and being able to do those. It really helps and the kids really enjoy them. Next slide. This is Lilac School first grade, dual language. They're doing a performance there. And we also had 2 of our employees recognized at our leadership for bilingual services or education, and that's Adriana Kunze at the top as a teacher, and then also our primary principal, Veronica Ruiz, who's here today. Congratulations. It was a great recognition for you guys. And our next slide. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to move into getting ready for our graduation. Believe it or not, it's that time of the year. And so Nancy's got a sign-up sheet, and our 8th grade promotion is going to be Thursday, June 15th at 9:30 a.m. So any of our board members that can make that, do you want them to sign up now or just you're going to send it out? So we'll send a sheet out for that. That, of course, will be at the middle school. Pauma School will have their graduation on Friday, June 16th at 9 a.m. And then that'll be followed by BC Prep Friday, June 16th at 10 a.m. So those are our promotions. Our graduation ceremonies, Oak Glen VC Prep will happen on this, Friday, June 16th at 4 o'clock in the Maxine. Board members that haven't been to there, that's a very special graduation. And then we'll all be here for the Valley Center High School graduation Friday, June 16th at 6 p.m. So Nancy will send out a sign-up sheet, and whichever one of those that you can participate in, it would be great to have you.
Okay, do you want to move into this?
We'll just do the first reading then.
Okay, we'll do the first reading. And these will be brought back for our June meeting. It's revised AR 6173, Education of Homeless Students, regulation updated to reflect the new law, and revised BP 6173, Education of Homeless Students, policy updated to reflect the new law.
Okay, and then the next item that we have on there is an item that we would like to open up as a discussion for the school board, and that is a program that we've been working on here for, at least a semester, headed up by Aaron Rogers, by John Peterson, and then also Mark Hellwood, and then we've also been working with our union on a start time and stop times of our elementary schools and middle schools. If we go to the next slide here, we'll see that when I say this is a proposal, these times aren't exactly the times that it would look like. But what we're trying to do is align the arrival and dismissal times for students in grades TK8 at different school sites within the same school site. So in other words, right now, at Lilac, for instance, our TK third graders get there at one point, and then our fourth, fifth come at another time. And so what we want to do is have our TK through fifth graders spend the same amount of time in school, which if we look at what the example would be there, it would be like the primary would start all grades from 8 and go to 2:05. Elementary would be 8:10 to 2:15, Lilac 8:10 to 2:15, Pauma 8:10 to 2:15. And what that does is a couple things. One is it will increase the time for our TK3 students, which hopefully we'll be able to get more of our stuff covered as far as our reading and mathematics. It also allows for, at the end of the day with the dismissal time at the same time, it's better for our staffs as far as our PLCs and working together as professional development, because one group isn't having to stay an hour or 25 minutes later waiting for the next group. The other thing that we feel very important here, and it's actually part of Ed Code, is at the current time, not all of our third graders in the district get the same amount of educational minutes. Then it depends on what school site you're at. Same with our TK2. What you really want is for every student in your district to have the same opportunity no matter what school they're at. This change would allow for that to happen. So this is a proposal. Now the way that this works, and one of the reasons we have the 6th and 8th grade changing a little bit, they would start at 8:45 and get out at 3:05 at the middle school. The reason we did this was to get our busing down. So to be able to do our bus routes, we would need to change the middle school time a little bit. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I know we wanted to have a discussion. We have some pros and cons that we can go over as we go through it. But, at this point, with just throwing that information out, I'd like to open it up for any questions from the boards or any comments from John or Aaron or Mark.
Well, as a parent, I think it makes sense, but obviously traffic is the main concern because we already have quite a bit of traffic at pickup time. So thoughts on what that looks like or solutions to that, or? Yeah.
I think that's a great question, and I think one of the things that is occurring right now in our district is a school time ends and everybody comes to pick up their children at that time. And what I think we have some incredible after school programs. We have, ways that we can explore having staff provide additional supervision after the school day. So I think one of the things that we could look at as we kind of continue down this path would be what are, after school opportunities that parents might want to take advantage of. What are additional things that could occur at the end of the school day? So we kind of move away from this idea that everybody arrives at the same time and still have essentially kind of a window to pick up your child, where these incredible after-school programs that we have can be taken advantage of.
Okay.
That sounds enriching, that would even help the learning continue.
And Mark, I think another thing that we talked about is having a little bit extra yard duty, so that if, instead of picking up right at 2 o'clock, you'd be able to pick up at 2:15 and your child would still be taken care of running around on the playground or, doing something else, so that not everybody has to get there right at the bell, that their kids would be being supervised.
Yeah. Trying to think of some other questions. Okay, so the goal is then to move the start time of school earlier, not necessarily the finish time later by the proposal up there, or?
So in this example, like for instance, if the primary went from 8 to 2:05, it currently goes from 8:20 to 2 o'clock. So it would start a little bit later, or it'd start earlier.
20 minutes earlier.
And then it would get out about the same
Okay.
time. The middle school, on the other hand, they go from 8:30 to 2:50. They would go from 8:45 to 3:05.
Okay.
So they went the other direction.
Okay.
And it really just depends on the school site.
Okay.
And most of that's due for the busing, yeah.
Okay.
And this, just on the busing point, it will cause us to have 2 more bus routes than we currently have, so we'll need 2 more bus drivers.
Okay. But we do have enough buses.
Yeah, we have plenty of buses.
Okay. And as a parent next year, so I pick up my niece and nephew every day along with my own 3 kids. So I have 5 kids. Next year will be from kindergarten to 8th grade. And so would my niece, who's in kindergarten, be riding the same bus as middle school or older elementary school, like versus right now, if they get out earlier, the little kids ride a different bus than the older grades?
I'll send that over
I
to
can
John
answer that
Peterson.
one.
He's kind of got the busing routes down.
Right now, we run 2 routes. First of all, our 9th through 12th grade is completely separate, busing different drivers, different routes. We use the same drivers and buses for K through 8, and we have 2 sets of routes. We do TK through 3rd grade, and then they go around and do 4th grade through 8th grade. Under this proposal, the TK through 5th graders would be in one phase, one route, and then the 6th through 8th graders would be in a separate. So the middle schoolers will be separate from the TK through 5th.
Okay. And I guess the reality, like at Lilac School, TK through 5th is already together at the same school site, so it's not crazy for them to ride the same bus together. With traffic, sorry, I'm asking all the questions here. With traffic at each school site, is it worth asking an outside company to give us an evaluation of things that we might need to do to reroute traffic or just things we haven't thought of before?
Over the years, there have been some evaluations, but we can certainly look for an engineering company, traffic engineering company who could take a look at the circulation patterns at our schools and offer any suggestions for improvement. I don't hold a lot of hope for, especially at a school like Lilac. I mean, there's one way in and one way out over that bridge.
Yeah.
But it's certainly something we can research.
Okay. Okay.
There was actually, I remember, some suggestions, both for the primary, that can be a problem, the small area they have to go, and also for Lilac. Lilac is the biggest problem because of the limited access. I remember a traffic study.
Yeah, we've had traffic studies done in the past, and unfortunately, we don't have the ability to add additional driveways or roads to leave from. So that kind of ties our hands a little bit. But, you know, it's always good to get some other eyes on it and just see if they have a better
And I'm not saying we
suggestion
need
for
to
flow.
do it. I don't know. Let's think about it.
Right.
Other schools, do other districts, do they release kids at different times like we currently do, or are they pretty uniform?
I didn't exactly do the study. I know that for the most part, the schools we looked into all have one release time. But I don't know if John or Mark or Aaron has anything
No,
different.
I think one release time is the most common, and if there is a difference, it's usually minimal, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So in effect, it's almost like the same.
Okay.
But I'm not aware of any other district that has such a spread between the dismissal times.
Okay.
And I think,
Busing's huge.
I think one of the reasons we got into that at Valley Center was because we had a primary school that was just the lower grade levels, which has a lower minute amount requirement from the state.
Gotcha.
So once that was put into place, then when Lilac was built, we did the same thing at Lilac we were doing at the other school.
Okay.
So that's the reason why Valley Center adopted this. Most school districts always kept the same times.
Okay. And then teacher, like work hours, are there different requirements for younger grade levels than older grade levels? And what are they currently doing with that extra, whatever it is, half hour to an hour? And what would that, I don't know, how does that change their?
So there's different hour requirements or minute requirements, we call them, for the school year based on grade level. And I believe the cutoff is TK3 has one allotment, 4, 5, and then 6, 8. That
4 through 8, I think.
4 through 8 has one allotment, and then high school has a separate.
Okay.
So it's not going to, what's going to change is the work day per hour for our teachers does not change. How much they might be in front of the students is going to change depending. If you were a kindergarten teacher, you'll now have your kids in front of you for an extra 20 minutes or so.
Gotcha.
Is that about right, John, 20?
Approximately.
Yeah, so it's a little bit change in the work day, not necessarily the work hours.
Okay. Gotcha.
And how about with classified on the playground, if you're having them come on board to kind of help facilitate that extra time for parents to.
Well, I
so
think
having
two-
it there right at.
Right, I think two things will happen. One, right now, we have classified that are there over a period of time because you have two different drop-offs and two different pickups.
Right. Oh, okay.
So now, if we have one drop-off, my thought would be is that we extend the time that the person's there, but it really would, it's not gonna extend it, it's just they're gonna be there the same, but
Same.
there's one drop-off, so the kids can be dropped off mixed in the time, and then same with the pickup.
Okay.
So it may add some classified work, hour-wise, but I think it'll be worth the extra minutes that we gain in education
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Sure.
When are we looking at implementing this?
Beginning of next school year.
Okay.
Okay.
I see a lot of, policy, traffic is gonna be one thing, it's gonna be our biggest block, big time, no matter what. And even the people that do not have children in our school system, there's a lot of traffic,
Oh, yeah,
people getting off of work, whatever.
going to work.
I do believe down the road in the future, we're gonna have to deal with some kind of expansion on roads. I mean, if we're the ones implementing to make this change, I could see it coming back to the board and our district here to, well, where you're doing something that's increasing this traffic, maybe you find some way to fund it and, the cost, deal with it.
Hmm.
Not everybody's willing to put that money out. And it does cost a lot, because my experience, like I said, in closed sessions, the tribe was faced with that before. And, Sanitag wasn't willing to spend any extra your money. They were always wanting us to spend ours. When we already paid into, a fund like that. So, it's just the reality.
I think one good thing about the traffic, it'll be more condensed to a certain amount of time, because really there's traffic around our schools with two drop-offs. This will just be one, but, and you're right, I mean, if you go through Escondido at any time or any other community when it's school time, most schools only have a limited amount of roads they come off and onto. So Valley Center, it's a little bit worse because we only have so many main roads, too. But hopefully we'll be able to mitigate that. We'll ask for people's patience. What normally happens in our school year is the first 3 weeks, we have a lot more traffic than as the school year continues. And I think part of that is with the younger ones especially, parents are more apt to take their kid to school for the first couple weeks until they get used to having a carpool or maybe putting them on the bus. What we're hoping to is if we spread that time out, that they'll get used to going 15 minutes after some other families, and then that way it'll mix it up. So.
I think it'll be a transitional thing, and people kind of seem to, I know at the primary school, I've seen a big difference. They kind of go a little later or come a little earlier.
And I would say this, it's not, this doesn't save us any money. It doesn't, it maybe costs us a little bit more money, but the real, the whole idea of doing this is the betterment of our students. And it's to give our students the same educational time at all school sites, and also bring our students up to the same educational time that students in the surrounding communities are receiving. So it's really, I mean, if we want to put students first, this is a way of putting students first. So.
And the minutes that they were missing, cumulative, I mean, for a week, each
Well, if you
day
go 20
was-
minutes time 180, that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah, and it is over, so the state requirement is a minimum requirement, and we have a couple grade levels that just went right to the minimum. This will kind of give us a bigger buffer around those minimum minutes, too. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And when you implement this, I think you should let it be known that there would be monitors out on the fields.
Right.
Like-
So,
just
yeah.
like early. Don't you have people out there early for early drop-off?
Yeah, our schools open at a certain time,
Yeah.
but yeah, we have,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, sometimes it's even earlier than that, but we will do a publicity thing at the beginning of the school year that talks about the drop-off times, talks about when the play yards open, and then also when they close, so we give that range. So, yeah, we'll do a pretty good publicity thing on it.
To give the, like our education center down there, heads up that this is coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And this is kind of the first step to the heads up, was wanting to get the board informed on it and talk to the board about it.
And maybe it's how the message is delivered too. If your kids can run around for 10 or 15 more minutes, they're going to be a little less.
Might be a
run
little
off
bit
some of
less
that
active at
energy.
home, yeah.
I don't know, let's
yeah.
make it positive. So, yeah, it's a work in progress. Okay. So we'll move on to educational services. All right, our LCAP, Planning and Development, proposed updates for 2023, 2024, presented by Assistant Superintendent Mark Halewood.
Thank you. President Stroh, board members, Superintendent McCowan, district staff and guests, thank you for this time to present you an update regarding our LCAP development process. Tonight I'd like to share with you some of our proposed goals and actions for our 22-23, 2024 LCAP, gather any input you may have and answer any questions you may have. Each step in our district's LCAP development process, we continue to explore the through lines of current successes, needs to be addressed, ongoing opportunities for growth, and most importantly, the needs of those we serve throughout our learning community. From the feedback from our families, students, staff, and schools, we're hearing where we are, where we're being successful, and how we can continue to ensure that all students are growing academically, socially, and emotionally. I have this slide up here just because everything we talk about when we're talking about the LCAP goes back to the students that we serve and the families that we work with and our staff and our entire learning community of our district. We've moved through many steps to develop next year's LCAP. You've heard many presentations from me at this point, starting with our review and analysis of metrics and data, to listening to input provided us from our advisory groups, families, staff, and students. Working with the San Diego County Office of Education, we have reviewed aspects of our LCAP, and it is those initial drafts of goals and actions that I would like to focus on with you for the rest of this presentation. As you are aware, our LCAP has 3 continuing guiding goals for our district. The first is that every student is actively engaged in learning, feels safe at school, and demonstrates good citizenship. Our LCAP is a multi-year plan, and many of our current actions will continue into the coming year. That said, we recognize that each year is different, and the needs of our district may change, and we want to be responsive by exploring additions that may be needed. Many of these additions, especially the ones I'm going to go through, especially in Goal 1, are driven by the input that we've received from our learning community. So here you can see some of the actions on the left that are currently in our LCAP that will be continuing forward. And this is just a sampling. The full LCAP is written in much more detail and is obviously a lot longer, but a good sampling of some of the current actions that will be moving forward into the new year. And then on the right side of this slide, you'll see some of the proposed additions, the conversations that have taken place throughout our district have led to. So I'll just briefly go through each one. One is the refinement of our multi-tiered systems of supports. And you're going to hear me use these 2 terms, refinement and revisit, a lot through the things that I'll be presenting. But we want to continue working with teachers and staff, committees, district, site administration to refine our district's multi-tiered systems of supports, or MTSS. Updates will include a review of the referral process for academic, social, emotional, and behavioral interventions and supports, as well as revisions of the forms for referral, monitoring of intervention, and parent and staff communication. Connected to this, we also want to revisit our positive behavior intervention and supports, also known as PBIS. Support for schools to effectively implement a PBIS framework is going to be something we'll be looking at, focused on proactively intervening with an emphasis on prevention and instruction. Efforts are aligned to MTSS. Some examples of what this may look like as we go into next year are ensuring that each of our school sites have identified and are teaching 3 to 5 universal behavioral expectations all throughout their school as much as possible consistently. Providing direct instruction in what it means to have high priority positive behavioral expectations. Providing levels of positive reinforcement. Ensuring that the enforcement of consequences is consistent and fair. Focusing on prevention through the modification of situations that are known to produce high levels of problem behavior. Having data to monitor how behaviors are moving through our district, and so that we can support families and students when these things do come up and need to be addressed. Another area in Goal 1 is continued implementation of social emotional learning curriculum. And this is direct instruction that currently a lot of this work is done by psychologists, by social workers, and we do have teachers who have taken steps to do this, and we want to broaden that throughout our district So having additional resources and supports for our staff in this area. Professional development would be going with this and really every item that I'm speaking to, making sure that these things are supported as teachers move through those things in their classroom. The last proposed addition for Goal 1 would be around attendance. One of the things that you've heard me mention, and you may have heard other districts are working on, is this idea of chronic absenteeism, and how does a school district respond to make sure that students are coming to school and learning. So our student services and site teams, including principals and applicable staff, will monitor attendance using some additional software that we'll be adding into our Infinite Campus system. Students with high rates of absenteeism will be essentially flagged in our system. So we'll be aware of them. And the great thing about this is it'll actually tell us as a student's moving towards that level as opposed to us responding once they're already there. We'll be bringing back something, these are some terms you may have heard, something called SART and SARB. SART is essentially a school attendance review team. And bringing these structures back into our district, we've had them, they do continue, but kind of moving into a time where we want to make sure that they're highly structured and functional at each of our school sites, again with support from the district office and our staff. In Goal 2, this goal states that every student receives high quality instruction leading to academic achievement and physical fitness, successfully preparing them for college and career readiness. So again, you can see some of the current and ongoing actions in this area. And some of the proposed additions that we would like to look at for the coming year, again, refining and revisiting. One would be the work we've been doing regarding professional learning community practices, or PLCs. Our district teams are continuing to refine this process, having our staff utilize our adopted curriculum to look at where students are in their learning. And making sure that appropriate interventions can be put into place, both by those teachers and by our support staff. Districts and site teams will continue to build on how they're analyzing trends in student progress by reviewing assessment data, report card data, common formative assessments, and then really looking at, with that analysis, what changes in the approach to learning are going to take place, and how our teachers are going to be supported in doing that. Another area that we're looking to add for next year is the state is currently revisiting its career technical education plan, and that is on a 3-year cycle. So we would like to mirror the state's work and continue to work on all of the great CTE programs that we have, but like the state, review our multi-year plan, looking at the courses that we're offering, the industries that are surrounding us in this community, and how we want to align and make sure that our district is providing the best possible opportunities for our students. This would be a district team that we put together working with our sites, and this isn't just specifically to our high school age students. This would also be looking at how can career technical education work its way back to middle school and have a strong foundation, and even how some of those skills and concepts could be seen in elementary school classrooms. Another area we'd like to propose to add for Goal 2 is just continuing our work around implementing and updating the curriculums that we have in place. One of the focuses we'd like to have for next year is around our science curriculums, or NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards. So really making sure that our district is continuing the process to implement curriculums that align to these standards, and that that our teachers and our sites have all the resources they need to do that. So that would be looking at all grade levels throughout our district. Our last proposed addition for Goal 2 would be some work that occurred this year with some additional classes that we've added to support English learners, specifically newcomers. So we've been able to add some newcomer classes at different levels in our district, and we want to ensure that those continue moving into the next year. Our third LCAP goal directly focuses on the state priority of parent involvement, but it's much more than that. It's parents, guardians, students. How are they informed, and how are we making sure, I'll read it. How are they informed with timely district, school, and classroom information, and have opportunities to provide input for decision making? You can see a lot of current and ongoing actions listed here. Some proposed additions would be that TOSA, who's listed on the left side. We would like to look at the possibility of increasing that TOSA's work in our district by increasing their time and the work that they're doing with our community and students. We do lots of translation work in our district, but we'd also like to increase the level of our translation services so that live translation can be done at a higher level. And some of the documents that we have, ensuring that those are always translated and available for families. The last proposed addition would be looking at a role that's currently existing in our district, but we would like to, again, review, revisit, refine, and that is our family and community liaisons. Looking at, how can, as a staff role in our district, how could we maybe explore adding more liaisons in this area, and what would be their role working with families, supporting our school sites, and really looking at our after-school programs and how we're making sure families have all information that they need and making sure that they have that person to go to if they have questions. For the coming year's LCAP, we are looking at an additional goal. This would be a goal around students eligible for special education, also referred to under the state student group as students with disabilities. This goal comes out of the differentiated assistance process that our district is engaged in with the County Office of Education. The goal would read as, provide every VCPUSD student eligible for special education support and services with an educational program in their least restrictive environment that includes standards-aligned instruction, enabling students to meet or exceed state standards. The need to ensure that all students eligible for special education support and services are served in a least restrictive environment is a district priority. So this isn't something that's brand new. We've been working on this and we've been continuing that work. But in this process, we are seeing that looking at things like the California dashboard results, students with disabilities or students with IEPs in our district do have concerning levels of performance in many areas. And so having this goal listed in our LCAP, again, revitalizes our district commitment to these students and work that we would be doing in many areas, recognizing that we need to address to ensure that students with disabilities are meeting or exceed standards in all areas and aspects of their education. A new goal comes with new metrics and new actions, so I've listed what some of those things might look like. One term you'll see there is least restrictive environment. For those who maybe haven't heard that before, this refers to a student who is eligible for special education supports and services, but being in the same classroom environment as their peers as opposed to a separate environment. We want to work with our district making sure that whenever possible, the least restrictive environment is the option for our students with services and supports available for them to be there. So as we move closer to the end of our development timeline, we're still making sure input and needs are being reflected in the future year's LCAP. Additional revisions, changes, and adjustments will definitely occur. And working with our business office, the financial aspects of our LCAP will also be finalized with the help of Mr. John Peterson and Michael Avalos. The timeline will come to an end in June when we will open our LCAP draft to a public hearing at a special board meeting on June 19th. And then at the regular board meeting on June 22nd, the board will be presented with the final draft of the LCAP for your approval. Following that, it will be sent to the County Office of Education for final review. Thank you for this time to provide this update and for your guidance as we plan and prepare for how to best serve the needs of our students, families, and staff in our district.
Thank you very much. That's a boatload of information, goals, and
I think we found most of my presentations have that effect. There's a lot there, so
wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. Anybody have anything?
I had one question. It's the TOSAs, maybe I should know this, but it's under the parent section. Do TOSAs interact with parents and families very much, or mostly just students?
Yeah, so I think our TOSAs definitely interact with parents. We actually have TOSAs listed in multiple areas of our LCAP. So we have an ELD TOSA, instructional TOSAs, literacy TOSAs are listed under Goal 2. And then we also have a district TOSA that is currently working in the middle school. It's Mrs. Stephanie Martinez, who she's working primarily with Title VI students, Native American students, and a big part of that role is working with the local community and parents and making sure that that engagement is kind of really going in the right direction.
Okay, cool.
Very good. Okay, anyone else have any questions? Thank you very much for your great information time on that. We will move forward into approval for a new high school course, which is AP Art and Design 2D. So do I have a motion for that course? Sounds like it's going to be great. Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, I think it looks like it's going to be a great course coming up here. Let's go for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior? Member Polito? And Member Stroh votes aye. All right, moving on to C, stipulated expulsion agreement, number 2022-2023-SA03. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
Member Benjamin, and a second? Member Kolb Senior, and we will go right into the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
And Member Stroh votes aye. Into our Human Resource Division, we have Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, and we have quite a few, so we will move through those. Going for salary ranges, classification, and reclassification, do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Aye. Oh,
Okay, Member Kolb Senior, and is there any discussion?
no.
Okay, voting, Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
And Member Stroh votes aye. MOU, job description, attendance clerk. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
Member Polito, and any discussion?
No.
Voting, Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. Next one is MOU, job description, administrative secretary 1. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Member Kolb Senior, and a second.
I'll second.
Member Benjamin. Any discussion? Moving for the vote. Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
And Member Stroh votes aye. MOU, job description, administrative secretary 2. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
And any discussion? Moving for the vote. Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. MOU, job description, administrative secretary 3. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Voting. Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. MOU, job description, athletic trainer. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
And any discussion? Voting, Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. MOU description, student support service assistant. Do I have a motion? Member Kolb Senior. A second?
I'll second.
Member Polito. And is there any discussion? Voting, Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. Almost there. MOU, job description, office clerk. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
And any discussion? Voting, Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo, absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. MOU, job description, database specialist. Do I have a motion?
So
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Voting, Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior.
Aye.
Member Polito.
Aye.
And Member Stroh votes aye. And contract for grant writer, Mel Robertson. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I have to say, I think this is a great thing to have. Lots of school districts have that, and I think that we will only benefit from that. Great attribute. So, and voting, Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo is absent. Member Kolb Senior. Member Polito. Member Stroh votes aye. Okay, we'll move to K, and that's our public hearing. The Valley Center-Pauma Unified School District and the Valley Center-Pauma Educators Association, CTA, NEA, proposals and openers, contract year 2023 and 2024. And hearing time in at 7:15. Do we have any public comment? 7:15, gaveling out. Thank you. Do I have a motion? A second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Voting, Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Caputo's absent. Member Kolb Senior? Member Polito? And Member Stroh votes aye. Advanced planning. There will be a governance workshop conducted by CSBA on May 16th, 2023 at 8:30 until 4 p.m. in the district office, room P17. A special board meeting will be June 19th at 6 p.m. in the VCHS Media Center, and a regular board meeting will be June 22nd at 6 p.m. in the VCHS Media Center. Adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
And second? Any discussion? Ooh, let's vote. Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo's absent. Member Kolb Senior. Member Polito.
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. We are adjourned at 7:17. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.